The year 2022 saw dimensions of the world order changing. For many, a war in the 21st century was a distant idea. But Russia changed all that in February last year. And in the past 11 months, a lot has happened. Some have kept their distance from Moscow. Others have remained quiet. But one country that has stood the test of friendship is Belarus. Alexander Lukashenko has done everything to please Vladimir Putin. The country offered to become a launchpad for Moscow's invasion. Minsk granted a full access to its military air bases. Belarusian troops held military drills with Russian soldiers since the war started. It has practically done everything without any direct involvement. And Russia is well aware of this. Belarus shares 1,084 kilometers long border with Ukraine. It is the shortest possible land route to Ukraine's capital. Russia and Belarus have held multiple joint military drills together since the war started. Until now, they have been a source of intimidation. But that status quo might change soon. You see, even with all the help from allies, a superior military and multiple commanders, Russia has fallen flat on its face. So now, Moscow is pushing Minsk to join the war in Ukraine. The build-up of Russian troops in Belarus right now is an echo of the past. It looks exactly like before Russia's February 24th invasion, when joint military drills turned into a springboard to launch an attack against Ukraine. Minsk says that it is purely defensive in nature. But Kyiv is not naive. It has learned from the past. A new military exercise has begun today, and it will continue till February the 1st. And all this is happening under the watch of a new commander. Valery Gerasimov, a military leadership shake-up by Russia, has never been good news for Ukraine. Will he use Belarus to mount a new ground offensive on Ukraine? That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, the toll from a devastating Russian strike on Dnipro rose to 40 as more bodies were pulled from the debris as one of Russia's deadliest attacks since its invasion. Moscow, however, claims its forces were not responsible and pointed to an unsubstantiated theory circulating on social media that Ukrainian air defense systems had instead caused the damage. Now, for more analysis about what's happening in the war, we are now being joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, Senior Fellow and Military Expert for Defense Priorities. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on WION.
Thank you.
Right. How do you view the recent developments in this war? Belarus has always said that it's a staunch ally of Russia, and now we're seeing Air Force drills. How do you view this development?
You know, so far, it seems to be similar in some regards to like how Poland is supporting Ukraine. They are very supportive, and they do all kinds of things for them, provide ammunition, etc. Even train some of the Ukrainian troops, but they don't directly participate in the war. And at least up to this point, that's the role that Belarus has played for Russia. They have not directly engaged in the war, but they have been a support, as you just mentioned, all kinds of support, both in material and access to the bases and, of course, access to the border. And as you also pointed out, the drills going on do have a reflection of what did happen in February of last year. And it's entirely possible that that could be another case here. And then certainly that's what the Russians want Ukraine to believe. And we already see that Ukraine, as a result of all this, has moved substantial reinforcements up around the border there. They have moved defense fortifications along the border, and specifically they have strengthened the security around Kiev independently. The problem for Ukraine is that they're very limited in troops, and that means they don't have as many for the Eastern Front. And now Russia's taking advantage of that down there, too. In every way you want to look at it right now, things are getting really tight for Ukraine.
Right. But, when we talk about Belarus and Russia, there's special focus because unlike other allies, Lukashenko and Vladimir Putin have always been very close to each other. Their relationship, their partnership on various matters has always been very closely watched by global experts. And now, do you see any merit in this fear, mostly in Ukraine and the West, that this could be the signs of a new ground offensive in this war?
Well, I think it is possible that Russia could launch another offensive, or at least another part of offensive from Belarusian territory. But I don't see any expectation that Belarus is going to join the war, meaning it's going to be two countries against one, because really they have very little to offer. I think the total of maybe 50,000 actual ground forces in their entire active force, and that's in terms of an offensive, that's a very small amount, and Belarus would be severely attacked, constrained by the international community, and potentially physically attacked if they joined in. So I think that would cause Russia and Belarus more trouble than they would gain. But I do think that the support is going to continue on, almost a blank check in everything else.
Right, Colonel Davis, thank you so much for all those views, and thanks for joining us on WION Fineprint at this hour.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.